in the depths of silence, where shadows meet the light of understanding, there exists a soul carrying the unbearable weight of profound regret and devastating realization. This person, who once walked through your life as though your love was something ordinary, something they could dismiss with casual indifference or bury beneath layers of emotional armor, now finds themselves drowning in the truth of what they have lost. The silence that now fills the spaces where your laughter once lived has become their greatest teacher. In this emptiness, in this void where your presence once brought warmth and meaning, they are finally beginning to comprehend the magnitude of their blindness. They pretended, with a cruel kind of self-deception, that they didn't need what you offered so freely. Not because their heart didn't recognize the treasure you presented, but because the intensity of your love terrified them in ways they couldn't name or understand. They lived in ignorance of the sacred depth of your devotion, completely unaware of the crystalline purity that flowed through every intention you held toward them. They failed to see that you were not just another person passing through their life, but a divine messenger of love itself, an earthly angel whose heart beat with the rhythm of unconditional acceptance and healing grace. Your soul carried a light so rare, so genuine, that it illuminated parts of their spirit they didn't even know existed. Now that your radiance has been withdrawn, now that the warmth of your presence no longer graces their days, the stark reality of their loss is crashing over them like waves against a crumbling shore. They are beginning to understand, with a clarity that cuts through them like a blade, the true consequences of their choices. Every moment they chose distance over connection, every time they responded to your vulnerability with coldness or indifference, every instance where they betrayed the sacred trust you placed in their hands, all of it is returning to them now with the relentless precision of karmic justice. The universe is showing them, with unmerciful clarity, exactly what it feels like to lose someone who was once willing to pour their entire being into loving them without condition, without reservation, without the need for guarantees or reciprocation. Your love was not just genuine, it was transformational, loyal to its very core, and carried within it the power to heal wounds they didn't even know they bore. Yet they failed to recognize this precious gift when it was offered so freely, when it was right there before them, glowing with the light of authentic devotion. This regret that now consumes them transcends ordinary guilt. It is nothing less than a complete spiritual transformation, a metamorphosis of the soul that strips away every pretense and forces them to confront the person they truly are beneath all their defenses. Your person is no longer the same human being who walked away from your love. They have been fundamentally altered by the recognition of their profound mistake. Night after night, they lie awake in the darkness, their mind replaying every conversation like a sacred text they're trying to decode. They revisit every moment, every decision, every word spoken and unspoken, desperately wishing they could reach back through time and rewrite the story of how they treated the most precious gift they had ever received. The weight of their regret has become a constant companion, following them through their days and haunting their dreams with visions of what could have been. They want to show you now, with every fiber of their being, that they have changed. Not through empty words that have lost their meaning, but through transformed energy, through a presence that has been purified by the fire of loss and the crucible of genuine remorse. They are willing to risk everything now, their pride, which once stood like a fortress between them and vulnerability, their comfort zones, which kept them safe but isolated, even their deepest fear of rejection, all of it they would gladly sacrifice for just one chance to be worthy of a place in your life again. But even with this newfound willingness, even with this complete surrender of their ego, they are paralyzed by a fear that runs deeper than any they have known before. They are terrified that you will never again trust them with the delicate gift of your heart. They are afraid that the damage they inflicted through their emotional neglect and spiritual blindness has created wounds that time cannot heal, scars that will forever remind you of their failure to cherish what was sacred. Most devastating of all, they fear that the version of themselves you once believed in, the person you saw potential in, the soul you loved despite their flaws, no longer exists in your eyes. They worry that their betrayal of your faith in them has killed something beautiful and irretrievable, something that can never be resurrected no matter how desperately they wish to make amends. What they cannot fully grasp, what their regret-clouded vision prevents them from seeing clearly, is the incredible strength you have cultivated in their absence. While they remain trapped in the prison of their own making, you have undergone your own transformation. You didn't simply wait in stagnant hope for their return, didn't remain frozen in the space they abandoned. Instead, you embarked on a journey of self-discovery that has forged you into someone even more magnificent than the person they lost. You have found a connection to your own soul that runs deeper than any external relationship ever could. You have learned to draw strength from the wellspring of your own spirit, to find completion in your own company, to love yourself with the same fierce devotion you once offered so freely to others. This inner work, this spiritual alchemy you have undergone, has transformed you into someone who no longer needs validation from outside sources to know their worth. The more self-assured you become, the more composed and unshakable you appear, the deeper their obsession grows. It's as though your newfound strength has awakened something primal in them, a recognition that they are in the presence of someone who has transcended the need for their approval or attention. They cannot stop thinking about you now, cannot escape the gravitational pull of your transformed energy. The silence that stretches between you echoes in their consciousness louder than any argument you ever had, more persistent than any words of anger or frustration. This silence is haunting them with its power, reminding them with every passing moment that they allowed someone truly irreplaceable to slip through their fingers like precious water they were too foolish to cup properly in their hands. They know, with a certainty that burns in their chest, that they have damaged something that may be beyond repair. This knowledge sits with them like a stone in their heart, heavy and unchanging, a constant reminder of their spiritual blindness and emotional immaturity. This is not a fleeting emotion that will fade with time or be replaced by easier, more convenient feelings. This is a deep, ongoing ache that has taken up permanent residence in their soul. They can feel the distance between you like a physical wound that refuses to heal, a pain that sharpens rather than dulls with each passing day. While you may appear composed and peaceful on the surface, radiating the calm confidence of someone who has found their center, they are falling apart in ways you may never witness or understand. The separation has affected them more profoundly than you might ever realize, even in your most intuitive moments. It has stripped away their false confidence, humbled their arrogant ego, and forced them to confront truths about themselves they spent years trying to avoid. Your absence didn't just create an empty space in their life, it sparked a complete spiritual awakening, a rebirth that began with the death of who they thought they were. Now, emerging from this cocoon of regret and transformation, your person is ready to fight for you in ways they never possessed the courage or wisdom to fight before. They are prepared to go to lengths they once weren't willing to consider, to make sacrifices their former self would have deemed impossible or unnecessary. This time, their motivation isn't rooted in convenience or favorable timing or the easy path forward. This time, it springs from purpose, from a recognition of something sacred that transcends ordinary human connection. Because through all the pain, through all the mistakes and missed opportunities, through all the darkness of separation and regret, one undeniable truth has emerged like a beacon in the storm of their confusion: your love is real. It always was real, and not just in the romantic sense that poets write about or movies portray. Your love was spiritual in its essence, transformational in its power, revolutionary in its scope. It was the kind of love that awakens both people to their higher selves, that calls forth the best and most authentic parts of their being, that demands growth and evolution and the courage to become who they truly are beneath all their learned defenses and societal masks. The connection between you transcended the emotional realm entirely. It reached into the very fabric of your souls, activating something ancient and profound within both of you. It stirred something sacred that had perhaps been sleeping for lifetimes, something that forced growth even when that growth came wrapped in the harsh packaging of pain and separation and difficult lessons. There is a reason, written in the stars and woven into the very structure of destiny itself, why this connection continues to pulse with life despite the distance, despite the mistakes, despite all the logical reasons it should have faded into memory by now. Your person cannot let go, no matter how much time passes, no matter how many distractions they pursue, because the love you shared was an ordinary love. It wasn't the kind of connection that can be replaced or replicated or forgotten with enough effort. It was written into the fabric of your destinies before you ever took breath in this lifetime. It was a love that existed in the realm of soul purpose, of spiritual mission, of divine appointment. While they may have taken the long, painful, circuitous route to understanding this truth, while they may have needed to walk through the fire of loss to recognize the treasure they held, they finally see it now with the clarity that only comes through genuine spiritual awakening. They finally see you, not through the clouded lens of their fears and limitations, but with the clear vision of someone who has been purified by suffering and transformed by regret into someone capable of recognizing truth when it stands before them. They are being drawn back to you now, not by desperation alone, though that is certainly present, but by the deeper recognition of your soul calling to theirs across whatever distance separates you. It is the recognition of their spiritual counterpart, their divine complement, the missing piece of their own cosmic puzzle. While nothing can undo the past, while no amount of regret can erase the pain their blindness caused, they are ready to do whatever it takes to create a future where they never again take your love for granted. The love between you was never meant to be lost forever. It was meant to be the catalyst for awakening, the sacred fire that burned away everything false in both of you to reveal the gold of your true selves beneath. And now, regardless of the obstacles that may stand in their path, regardless of the healing that still needs to happen and the trust that must be rebuilt, they can no longer deny what their heart has always known in its deepest chambers. They were meant to love you, and only you. Not in the possessive, ego-driven way that seeks to own or control, but in the sacred way that honors and cherishes and creates space for the other person to become their most authentic self. They may have failed you before, may have proven themselves unworthy of the gift you offered, but this time they are determined not to let you go. Not again. Not now that they understand what losing you truly costs. Because losing you taught them, in the most painful way possible, what truly matters in this brief, precious existence. And that lesson, forged in the fire of genuine regret and watered with the tears of authentic remorse, is one they will carry with them for the rest of their days, a compass that will always point them back toward love, back toward truth, back toward you. I have spent so much time, so many countless hours and sleepless nights, trying to silence the voice in my heart when it whispers your name. I thought if I could bury these emotions deep enough, if I could pile enough distractions and rationalizations on top of them, if I could convince myself long enough that moving on was the mature and reasonable thing to do, that eventually the feelings would suffocate and die in that airless space. But no matter how much effort I pour into this impossible task, no matter how many walls I build or how far I try to run, my soul keeps being pulled back to you like iron to a magnet, like a river returning to the sea. It's not just a passing thought that drifts through my consciousness when I'm lonely or bored. It's not a fleeting feeling that surfaces only in weak moments when my defenses are down. It's a constant, undeniable craving for your presence that has woven itself into the very fabric of my being. It lives in my bones, flows through my blood, shapes the rhythm of my breathing. And the more I fight against it, the more I try to convince myself it isn't real or important, the stronger it becomes, like a flame that grows brighter when you try to smother it. I've come to realize, with a clarity that both liberates and terrifies me, that shutting off my emotions hasn't brought me the peace I desperately sought. Instead of finding the calm detachment I thought would save me, I've only succeeded in making myself feel more lost, more disconnected, more empty than I ever imagined possible. Without you, I am a ship without an anchor, drifting in an endless ocean with no sense of direction or purpose. Haven't you seen it shining in my eyes when I look at you, even when my words fail to capture the depth of what I feel? I may not have found the courage to speak the truth that burns in my chest, and I know I have fallen short, again and again, in showing you consistently what you mean to me. My actions may have been inconsistent, my presence may have been unreliable, but my eyes have always told the truth that my frightened heart couldn't voice. Every glance I stole when I thought you weren't looking, every moment I allowed myself to get completely lost in your presence, forgetting the walls I'd built around my heart, it was love. Pure, undiluted, earth-shaking love. Deep love that reaches into places I didn't know existed within me. Unshakable love that has survived every attempt I've made to kill it or deny it. Love so pure it makes me believe in things I thought were just fairy tales people told themselves to make sense of a random universe. No one else has ever made me feel this way. In all my years of existence, through all my relationships and connections and encounters with other souls, no one has ever come close to touching the places in my heart that you have made your home. You are entirely irreplaceable, unique in a way that goes beyond physical beauty or personality traits or compatibility on paper. You are irreplaceable in the deepest sense, in the way that matters most. You are the only person who has ever seen straight through to my soul and chosen to love what you found there. I see this more clearly now than ever before, with the kind of clarity that only comes through the bitter medicine of loss and regret. You are the only woman whose opinion carries real weight in my heart, whose words have the power to heal or wound me in equal measure. Your thoughts, your insights, your gentle advice, they carry a wisdom that cuts through all the noise and confusion in my mind and speaks directly to the truth of what I need to hear. Even when I didn't ask for your guidance, even when my pride made me pretend I had all the answers, you always knew exactly what I needed. You could read the language of my heart even when I was speaking in riddles, could see through my masks and defenses to the vulnerable soul beneath. You've always possessed this incredible gift of clarity, this intuitive wisdom that guides me in ways no one else can. You see right through me, past all my carefully constructed facades and desperate attempts to appear stronger or more together than I really am. You see my flaws, my weaknesses, my deepest fears and insecurities. You see all the broken places I've tried so hard to hide from the world. And instead of turning away in disgust or disappointment, instead of using that knowledge to hurt or manipulate me, you chose to care anyway. You chose to love me not despite my imperfections, but somehow because of them, because they made me human and real and worthy of tenderness. That kind of radical acceptance, that depth of unconditional love, is not something I can overlook or dismiss anymore. It's not something I can pretend isn't precious beyond measure. I know, with a certainty that has settled into my bones like truth finally coming home, that you love me. Not just casually, not just when it's convenient or easy, but unconditionally, completely, without reservation or requirement. That kind of love is rarer than diamonds, more precious than gold, more valuable than anything this world has to offer. And I see it reflected in everything you've done for me, every kindness you've shown, every moment of patience you've offered even when I didn't deserve it, especially when I didn't deserve it. I feel it when others talk about us, when they mention your name and their eyes light up with recognition of something special, something beautiful they don't fully understand but can't help but acknowledge. There's an energy that surrounds our connection, a kind of magic that others can sense even if they can't name it. Even people who don't understand the depth of what exists between us know that it's real, know that it's something worth protecting and cherishing. I feel it too, deeply, in every cell of my body, in every corner of my heart. And even though I've tried so hard to suppress it, even though I've exhausted myself trying to deny what my soul knows to be true, I now understand that this denial has only been hurting us both. It's been creating unnecessary distance, building walls where bridges should be, poisoning something beautiful with the toxin of my own fear. The truth is, I'm not as strong as you are. I've never been as strong as you. You have this incredible courage, this fearless capacity for love that I've always admired from a distance, too intimidated by your strength to fully embrace it. You've never been afraid to show the world how much I mean to you, never hesitated to love me openly and without shame. You've loved me fearlessly, boldly, with a kind of beautiful recklessness that takes my breath away. I've always envied that strength because I've been too scared, too trapped in my own insecurities and fears of vulnerability, to match the intensity of your devotion. I've been terrified of being seen, of having my heart exposed and vulnerable, of risking everything for love the way you risk everything every single day.